All right, guys. So this is Bane. So we're going to talk about the Barbarians of Lemuria rule set. Um, I have updated the rule set. Um, Instead of talking about what changed, we're just going to start from the scratch and just how the rule set works. My goal was to make it work like every other rule set in Fantasy Grounds. So if you go from 5e to BOL, you'll instantly know how to play it. So that was my overall goal. So we'll start with the desktop. So you'll see I added a bunch of modifier buttons. So first off, we have boon or flaw. So instead of having to, click it on your character sheet, you can just hit one of these buttons. If you're used to 5e, it works kind of like advantage, disadvantage. You're going to get a bonus die either way. The flaw actually, it'll cause you to keep the lower of the die, whereas boon will cause you to keep the higher. So we have these task modifiers, so they're linked. So heroics -8, very easy. It's like +2. So as a GM, you can just verbally say, okay, if you're following an adventure or whatever, okay, that's going to be tough, and then you don't have to remember, oh, tough is minus whatever, or your players don't have to remember that. They can just hit the tough button. Okay, so that's what I added to the desktop. We're going to look at the character sheet now. So if you look at the character sheet, some things change. So these little selector buttons are all gone, so they don't really do anything. You may notice there's some differences here. I try to keep it looking is the same. So if you're used to playing in the rule set, things aren't going to be dramatically different. I still have to go through and clean some things up. I have to update this font down here. I have to do a couple of other different things, but for the most part, this is done. So your rolls work kind of like before. You can roll strength. You can roll strength as a tough, and it's going to give you your tough modifier, which is -2. You can roll strength as a boon. I can roll it with a flaw. Okay, and so it's all all integrated. If I wanted to roll it with a career, I kept this kind of the same. I did change this to a window list so it's expandable, but you can roll it with a career, and in this case we'll get +5 career, and it'll tell you right there what your modifiers are, and you can see the armor is all integrated. So okay, so that's pretty self-explanatory. Careers, to add a career, you just do that. To take a career away, you just do that. Alternatively, you can come over here to your careers button, and I'll just make up one real quick. Fake career stuff, and I can take it and I can drag my careers over. So I gotta, once I get access to the books, I'm actually gonna these all are like were in the books, like you couldn't see them, but I don't know what I gotta look at the campaign files to see what's going on here. But this is with the current campaign file loaded up. But you'll be able to, basically all the careers will be built in. You can just kind of drag them over, and then you can spend your points, right? Okay, so we're going to delete that. So so that's drag and drop. So then weapons. Okay, so you see this is a big difference. You used to do this like multiple clicking thing and roll weapons. So now all you do is you here, I'll unequip it and I'll equip it. Is you equip the weapon. Now you open the weapon, it's an item record. There's going to be item records here. All the items are going to be built in, and you're just coding it just directly out of the book. So that's all you're doing. So all it's doing is taking this data and it's making this with it. Okay, so in this case it's 60H. If the weapon was 60L, you can see it automatically updates it. So pretty neat. I like that H. I like, oh, double H. It's like, what are you doing? All right, so there's that. If you want to roll with agility, it's A, or strength, right? So that's going to roll an attack. I don't think I have anything targeted on here. Let me open the combat tracker. Okay, so that's with the strength roll. That would be with the agility roll. And then roll your damage. Then, okay, then there's melee and then range, and you can see it automatically updates your strength based upon what what you're doing. That's why your brawl here is half of that. To do the brawl, since there is no, in Mythic Edition, there's no brawl roller like there was in the previous, I just made brawling weapon here. That's all I did. All I had to do was put brawling in the subtype. Okay, and I'm going to put examples like that in the book when I convert them back. Okay, so we're going to get to the combat tracker in a minute, but anyways, that's how you do weapons. Real easy. Anybody can do it. It's what you're used to. There is a delay button here that will affect your, will drop you down on the combat tracker. All right, so let's get to armor. You're like, oh, this is nice and filled in. Well, how did he get that there? It's the same thing. You just, here, I'll unequip everything for you. It's all gone, right? And then you can see I can roll initiative, and it's +2. And I'm going to equip this helm, and it's going to be -1. Now, the reason this is coded like this is if you read the book and you're wearing a helm, you don't actually get any protection bonus. You have to be wearing armor too. And so the rule set, or the code actually knows that. But if you are wearing a helm, it is going to affect your initiative, right? That kind of makes sense. So if I go put in my armor now, let's put the leather on. You can see that I get 1 arcane penalty, no modifier to my defense. That would be like a shield. 1 initiative modifier. There's no agility modifier on this, and it's 1d6 -2 because the leather is d6 -3 or 1, and then you get a bonus protection of 1 for the helm. Okay, I actually have this. I think I built some chain armor in here. Let's do plate. Let's look at a plate armor. So if I look at plate armor, it's agility -2 and d6 -3. So if I unequip the leather and I equip the plate armor, I'm now at a full protection roll of 1d6. I've got agility -2 and an arcane penalty of 3. So you can see it automatically updates it. And then when I add my shield into it, now I get this defense, right? And if I look, what this does is I added, for the GM to see, you can see a total defense is 2. It's based upon that and that. So anyway, so armor's like completely 100% automated. So you don't have to do anything. You just equip it. So that's kind of nice. All right, well, so let's look at attacks. So I also automated all attacks, damage rolls. You don't have to do anything anymore. You just roll it like you would for any other rule set. So if I take my Sorcerer King here and I roll, let's roll an attack on Flamestar. I don't know why I came up with that name. So you can see he rolled 2d6. He rolled -2 because of the defense, and it was a failure. Okay. Let's see, and you can see on the NPC's attack roll here, it's a melee attack. It uses agility, and it's a d6 +3 on damage. Let's say he did hit them, so I'm going to take damage. Now I can roll it to chat, I can drop it on Flamestar, or I can target with the combat tracker and drop it, and then just roll it. Okay, so I'm just going to drop it on Flamestar here, and so I rolled that. I rolled my defensive roll. So in this case, I rolled a 6. The protection roll was a 6 because I have a plate armor, and my damage reduction was 6, and so 0 was applied to Flamestar. Now he might have had wounds to begin with, so let's I gotta look at the wound, why that didn't do that. Alright, so let's try this again. So we're gonna do 3, 6, 2. So in this case, there's 2, and you can see that the proper wounds were applied to Flamestar there. Okay, so, and that works both directions, right? So if I put in his armor data, it's going to automatically do that roll. Okay, so I had this open because I could show you the static option is still in. You can see the static is 4, and in that case there is no roll. It's just going to be 4. So 7, so 3 was applied. All right, and 3 was applied because we had 4 applied before. So there you go. So that's how that works. Let's see. So this, if I put boons here and I roll it, it's going to do that. Okay, I think that's it on the front. So this movement is based upon your agility. So, as your agility changes, whoa. your movement's going to change. And then I have my wounds down here. And I need to look at the CT script. I must not have finished that. I don't know why it's not linking. Okay, so let's look at magic now. All right, so magic. I actually created spells. So we have a third magnitude example. This is a first magnitude example. I have a cantrip example and a second magnitude example. And you can see what I did here was I just basically waited, because there are no set spells, there are some examples, but the system's built where you can kind of create your own spells. And so that's kind of what I did. So you can just go in here and you can do whatever you want. You know, here's an example of a spell I created, Burning Hands. It's first magnitude, AP cost 3. It requires these 3 things. I went and described those 3 things down there, and then you know, whatever damage it does, you know, that's up to you. I might come back in here and since there is no healing, I might create the ability to roll damage from spells. I'll have to go look at the book to make sure I'm with raw. But for now, this is what I got. So this is, again, I'm upgrading what's existing. I'm not starting it from scratch. So, but what this does is this looks a little familiar, but I can go and select this, and you can see it pre-populates everything based upon what I have selected here. So that's a bad example because it's a cantrip. Let's do this first. So this first one, I have special item, line of sight, obvious technique. Line of sight, obvious technique. It's moderate, and the cost is 3, and then my armor penalty is 3. So if I go and cast this now using my mind, and you can see it's pulling my career from the front of the page. So my career here, Magician 3, if I change it to 4, let's just roll it. And I succeeded because it's moderate, and I had a 4 bonus, and so it automatically deducted my arcane. So what happened was I have 3 and 3 is 6, so it gave me 6 and subtracted the 6 from there. So again, it's, you know, some of that was automated, not all of it was. Definitely not this with the spells. So, you know, the advantage of this is you can actually go and create your own spells and use them and export them and take them from game to game. Or, you know, before you had to create it on the character sheet, and then, you know, it didn't really look like a spell record. It had like a description field, and it had some other stuff in there. But anyways, this looks more like what you're used to. Magic's not a big part of BOL. You mostly do things with it, you know. Not necessarily, you wouldn't use it necessarily in battle. Maybe a cantrip you might, that you can cast quickly. But anyways, so I look forward to feedback on this tab and see what I can add. I don't plan on adding healing. I might add damage. You know, there's other systems or there's other games that use the BOL rules, so I might entertain that. You know, if we start putting that stuff into Fantasy Grounds to sell in the store, I might expand that a little bit further. But that kind of gives you a basic of what's going on with spells here. Okay, now, the other thing is you can always override this and it'll update for you. So that's kind of neat. Is that right? 6. Yeah, see, this is coded correctly. I bet I calculated that wrong. I bet that should be a 7. I have 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Because the minimum on a second is 6. I'll have to go look at that. Make sure. I think the code is right. Maybe I just put it wrong on the spell, but I'll double check that. All right, so the last thing with the character sheet is the inventory. So I kind of fixed that up a little bit. I got rid of the encumbrance down here and I added this little crafting menu. So what this is, you know, crafting is part of this. If you're an alchemist, inventor, or whatever, like, you know, as you, between your downtime, between adventures, you would go and you would craft things. And it may take multiple downtimes to craft something, but there's really nowhere to annotate it. Nothing you know, spiffy to annotate it with. I mean, you can always put it in your notes, right? But this is cooler. I mean, you might as well, right? It's Fantasy Grounds. You might as well do this. So you know, some of this is automated. So if I go, you know, Mythic, it tells me what my crafting points are required. Um, and then this max is based upon this right here. You know, if I update this and I come back in here and I reopen it, it's going to reinitialize and say, oh, your current crafting points are 2. All right, so what this is like you can actually put what you're crafting and a description in here. Okay, now if it's a weapon or armor or something like that, like you're crafting something that's masterwork, once you do your roll and everything and it creates the item, you'll have to go in there and you'll have to update the stats of it. Okay, so I'm not going to get that in detailed right now, maybe later. So, but how this works is let's say you finished all your crafting, and let me delete these things. And you're going to make your crafting roll. So in this case, I'm going to craft roll, and I succeeded, and it created my potion of stuff. And if I type a description in here, things and stuff, right? And I were to roll it, it's going to put that description in there. And that could be like literally whatever you want it to be. Okay, so that's kind of neat, right? I think. Now, if you don't, now these modifiers all work. So I say that. Let's see what happens. If it's heroic, okay, good, it worked. Ooh. Now I don't know if boons. Let's see. That should work. Yeah, it does. So it's going to roll a bonus die for you if you do it with a boon. So yeah, I actually never tested that. It should have worked because it's all in the roller, but you know, you're literally rolling the dice when you do these videos, so you find little things sometimes. So anyways, that's my little crafting menu. You could add multiple things in here, so you can have all kinds of stuff going, right? You could be making multiple things during your downtime, you know, like you can according to the rules. So there's that. So that's just something neat I added. Okay, so combat tracker. The main thing I did was I added wounds on here, and then you can right click and delete actors now. And if a actor takes, you know, he dies, it gives this automatically, we'll be able to delete him, which was big. It's kind of annoying. It really sucks to have to come in here and figure out how to delete stuff. The delay button, it works, right? So he's at, you know, if I delay, I'm at 9. So let's see, what else did we do on here? Okay, let's look at NPCs. So, and let's specifically look at creatures. So you'll notice that creatures, once the books get updated, are going to be written like this. So how he had it, or they had it, was 4d6, and then it added the strength to it. So that's not how it rolls. So if you look at page 99, it says you take the result of the damage roll and you multiply it by a factor. You don't roll 4 dice and 4 bonus dice. And then it says, also on page 99, it says you don't add the strength because the multiplication factor takes into account the monster's strength. So all the NPCs that are big creatures are going to be updated like that. So the thing is, though, like if you, for whatever reason, want to play it the old way, I maintained the coding for that, so you can do that. But the script's going to be smart enough that if it's this, it's going to roll 2 or 1 with your bonus dice, and then it's going to do the multiplication for you. Okay? So it looks like it dropped to 5. I rolled 2 5s. Let's see if we can roll something else here. A 1. Oh my god, that's hilarious. Alright, so now it's going to keep the 5, right? Okay, so it still does it for you, right? But, you know, if this one, and I put in 3d6 for that, it's going to, this is the old way, which isn't correct, but it's the old way, okay? Alright, so there's that. The rest of this, I fixed these frames. It's going to work the same as before. I didn't touch the magic section. NPC's really not going to cast a whole lot of magic spells. Again, it's a low magic game, but it should be pretty easy. You're going to cast your 1 spell before the heroes can actually kill him. So I didn't really mess with that much. So anyways, if you got any questions, you can post it here on YouTube or on the forums, and I think I got everything. I may not have mentioned this, but you could see there's all these records over here now. Like, they're all drag and drop, so you can actually drop this on the character sheet now. All the boons, you can just drop them in there. So I did added a whole bunch of automation with records, which, and again, I'll update the core book with those. So, but you can do a little homebrew now, and I think it makes the game a little bit better. So thanks a lot.